This program is sponsored in part by the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board. The OERB is voluntarily funded by Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners, and their funds are being used for well site restoration and student education all across the state. Since 1993, the OERB has restored more than 13,000 orphaned and abandoned well sites at no cost to landowners or taxpayers, employing Oklahoma contractors all along the way. The OERB is proud to serve the state of Oklahoma.
Daddy, where did those come from?
Well, let me tell you.
Great Plains Kubota, your Oklahoma Kubota dealer and proud sponsor of the Land Doctors. Kubota, for Earth, for life. This program is sponsored and produced by the Land Doctors Management Group. We all know that Oklahomans belong to the land, but even the best of us need a little help from time to time. If you've got a spot of land that you love but would like to make it even better, we're here to help. Whether it's wildlife, water management, natural resources management, environmental cleanup, or even real estate development, these doctors are always on call.
I love the smell of fresh dirt in the morning. It smells like victory. I need the Oklahoma wind to run open through my veins. I need the Indian grass to cut right through these long and lonesome days homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. I hear the scissor tail calling me from the redbud trees. I hear the topwater roar in the still of the day as the bass enjoy their feast homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. Whoa. A while back, Jack Emerson had called me and he wanted me to come out and look at his property, and he told me he wasn't ready to sell it yet, but that at some point he thought he would, and he wanted me to know about it. And so I kept it in mind. He called me and a few weeks ago and told me he was ready to sell. I already had someone in mind, and we got a sale done quickly for him, I think in probably less than a week. So we're just down here today saying goodbye to the lake and everything. I used to bring my kids out a little bit to come fish and really enjoyed the place, but I'm going to miss it. It's very beautiful, and I'm sure he will too, but it's time to move on. Now, one of the interesting things in this episode is how you deal with junk, but not all junk is worthless, or things that are left behind are worthless. And this is a case where there's some things being left behind that are worth quite a bit. So let's go look at one of them. When we were out here doing the showing of the ranch, we actually came to an agreement on the spot, on the property. And so I'm standing here with Jack, and he says, well, I guess I'll have to get rid of my old car now because I don't have anywhere to put it. And I'd never seen a car like this. I thought it was a Bentley at first. And I started looking, and it's a Fraser Manhattan. Really cool car, never heard of them before, but everything on it was really nice looking. So I'd never seen one, I'd never heard of one, so I bought it on the spot with the thought that, hey, it's cool, I'll do something with it. So I came out here, it wasn't running. Jack helped me. We got a battery in it. I spent about $2 literally on a fuel line and a couple of nuts that it was missing, and it cranked right up. So I'm taking this baby to the auction next Friday, and we'll see how well I've done. So I'm super excited about this car auction that's coming up because I think I'm going to make a bunch of money. But first, we've got to go and do a little work. We're doing a couple of different projects where we're cleaning up some junk and debris that's left over from past activities. The first one we'll visit is an OERB abandoned oil well site that they're cleaning up, where they're burying some old pad sites and concrete that was left behind from oil field production almost a century ago. Well, today I'm here with Rodney Troglin, and we're standing on what was some concrete that you just buried beneath us here.
Yes, sir.
And we wanted to talk a little bit about the process and how you approach this. What's the first thing you do whenever you come to a site like this where you have concrete that you need to bury?
Well, the first thing we do is a site assessment to see what we have, to determine what's here. In this location, there was a concrete well site that had been left over from the 20s or 30s, concrete rig corners and engine bases that we just put down.
When you get ready to start, is it necessary to call Okie one call before you start digging?
Yeah, before the contractors ever begin, they're required to call Okie to make sure we don't have any lines that interfere with our area. Obviously, we don't have any lines in this immediate area that would interfere.
But you never know when there might be a gas pipeline or something you've overlooked. So it's always better and safer, and it's the law to call.
That's right. That's right. We always, it's part of their contract that they're required to call Okie before they dig, so that we don't interfere with any lines or make any bigger messes than what we have here on site.
Got going. Now, while we were watching the concrete when they were moving it, I noticed it was rather thick. Were those the corners of the pads, or?
That was more than likely the pump jack pad.
Yeah.
That it was set on. So a lot of times our rig corners that held the actual corners of the standard derricks are actually a lot thicker than that. They can be 6 or 8 foot thick.
Why were they so thick?
I guess concrete was cheap, and so was the labor.
Now, is it steel reinforced, or is it?
Sometimes they have steel reinforcement in it, but a lot of times it just had old wrenches and rocks and whatever they could find on site to throw in there.
Just for the cement to stick together.
Yes, sir.
That's interesting. Now, when you're doing a project like this, what kind of things do you typically run into besides just concrete?
On this project in particular, we had coming off the road, we had an old lease road that had gravel, that interferes with the rancher or farmer producing his hay and that sort of thing. We also had an old location pad where there was a tank battery, some erosion that went off the back side of it. Yeah. We also have a salt kill area over on the northern end of the property that was caused more than likely by a leaky tank or old flow line. So we bury the gravel a lot like we bury the concrete. We put it down with 3 foot of compacted cover, and then we put topsoil over it, so it's no longer an issue.
Do you ever run into any steel, old pipe, things like that?
We did have a few flow lines on this project, and we also hit a couple while we were doing the job. Yeah. So they're just, we take those to the recycler and get rid of that. Now,
from my experience, especially on a lot of these old sites, you run into lines because they're not marked, they're not on a map or anything like that. There are going to be old flow lines that probably nobody remembers where they are until you start digging. Now, as you're working on these sites, do you run into any challenges that stand out in particular to you?
Well, a few of the challenges we face obviously are with the salt damage to the surface. And we treat that oftentimes with gypsum and manure and straw to help bioremediate that soil. Oftentimes we put ponds on the area, and that's what we did here. We designed a pond structure on the northern end of the property to cover over the salt impact. That takes care of it. Doesn't impact the water. Makes a nice habitat for the local wildlife, and the rancher really enjoys getting a new pond. So
he went through the process. We saw him strip back the topsoil, and then he dug through the subsoil, and he got down to a depth where he could then take the concrete, lay it in there nicely, and then he put the subsoil back in, and then he was driving back and forth. What was he doing when he was doing that?
Okay, our remediation requires that we have 3 foot of compacted cover over the concrete. Therefore, it doesn't interfere with anything the landowner wants to do with the site in the future. I mean, that is below plow depth or any kind of working of the topsoil.
Okay, or even running a water line or something like that through here. So he compacted it when he was driving back and forth. He was actually compacting it with a machine. Now, from this point, what's going to happen?
From this point, they will come in with a dozer and smooth the rest of the area out, and then they will reapply the topsoil, and after that point, they will disc and seed and fertilize. So therefore, there's no work left for the landowner to do.
The OERB isn't the only one out there trying to clean up junk piles. I've struggled with my own on my property for almost 15 years, and you never know what you're going to find. With most properties, you will eventually encounter the junk pile. I used to get a little self-righteous about the junk piles. And in fact, if you watch me when I'm cleaning junk, I shake my head because I'm mad. I get upset about it. The reality is, though, is that if any of us today had to go more than a week or two without a municipal or rural trash service, we'd wind up with one of these too. People had no place to take their junk, had no place to take their garbage, so they just picked a spot on the property and that became the junk pile. This is what's left of mine. Over the years, we have hauled probably 20 16-foot trailer loads of junk out of here. It was everything from washers and dryers, refrigerators, tires, you name it. We've hauled all that to the landfill. And this is our last little bit before we're finished. But so if anyone needs a really good stove, you can come get this one. I've also got a refrigerator for you too. You know, that actually is pretty cool stuff. I don't know that I would ever make anything out of it. But when's the last time you saw a piece of tin with a club stamped into it? Or a heart? I have no idea where that came from. Got a couple old bed frames, moonshine steel, refrigerator, hot water tank, floor lamp. So Mike and Frank, if you're watching at American Pickers, I've got what you need right here. But the only catch is you gotta take it off. There's some barbed wire. Ain't even barbed wire? It actually looks good. It's crazy. Full of dirt. It's just full of dirt. I don't know what it is or how it got here. It's a mystery. It may be Jesse James's secret gold stash. Bonnie and Clyde die spider. I get a little frustrated sometimes, but it's a little fun to find this stuff and try to figure out what went on, how it got here, and you know, just the history of the place. So I can't imagine what this was ever used for or why someone would want to move it here if it didn't start out here. Interesting. So this is one of the most frustrating things you run into. You've got an old pile on the property, and in it you've got posts, you've got steel, but worst of all, you've got wire, and lots of wire. And it's all balled up, twisted up with everything. and it's an absolute mess, and there's really no easy way to deal with it. What I'm going to try to do is to make myself an area where I can pile up the wood that's got all this wire on it, and I'm gonna let it dry out a little bit, and I'm gonna try to burn the wood out of it so it just leaves the wire. So I'm gonna continue just to go into that pile and sort of extract this stuff out, move it over here to the side where I can do something with it. With the tractor, it gives you the ability to do things that you just physically can't do. If you noticed, a lot of the wire that I pulled out was wound around trees. It was down in the dirt. I don't care how strong you are, you can't pull that out by hand. So the tractor's great for that. However, when you get down to the little pieces like this stuff, you're really wasting your time trying to scoop it up with a tractor. And this just comes down to just some handwork, walking around and picking up the pieces that fell off, the stragglers. And getting the stragglers rounded up is really important. This one piece of barbed wire, which is, 8–10 feet long, you start running into a lot of these with a brush hog in the spring in the deep grass when you can't see it. It won't be long before you'll be spending the rest of the day getting this out from beneath the brush hog after it winds around the blades. So it's important to go ahead and get all this stuff up while you can see it, while you sort of remember where it dropped off of the forks on the tractor. Now you notice when I was using the forks, those are really great for being able to go in and get the solid materials and it drops the soil out. But you always have to be very mindful about what you are trying to pick up. There were several times that the back tires on the tractor wanted to come off the ground. So I had to be really slow and cautious and just drop it back down. I kept my RPMs low, I just took my time, and that way I could do it safely. So now I'm going to spend probably another 15–20 minutes just picking up the little pieces. In a few days I'll come in here and try all this again, just keep working at it, and I'll compact it down as much as I can and haul it to the dump where it's out of your way. You don't have to worry about it impacting any use of the land in the future. I've been able to stay calm all week waiting on this car auction, but I'm ready for somebody to show me the money. So we're here at the auction. Today is the big day. Here in probably an hour, we're going to roll across the stage and we'll get to find out if I'm an idiot or a genius. We're having to sort of be quiet and play our cards close to the vest here. But just as a little clue, anything over $5 grand and I'm in the money. So you can watch as I watch and see if we make out or if we lose. So here's a little secret just between us. That car had sat in the barn for 10 years without moving. It cost me $1.72 to get it running, not counting the gasoline. But all it had wrong with it was an old fuel line that had dry rotted. So I replaced that, and it cranked right up. So we don't have much in this thing. So let's take a look at the car. So it looks a little better in here after Nick cleaned it up. There's no more cobwebs. I'm very pleased with how it smells. It had a very strong odor to it before, should I say. So the guy that buys it or the girl that buys it, I hope they appreciate that, Nick's hard work. I'm excited and I'm really anxious to see how this thing does. You know, just a few days ago, this thing was just completely dirty and in a barn, and now it's here. And we're going to see what value people put on it. But it's just a great reminder that everything that's old and in a barn is not junk. So we'll see how well we make out. Wish me luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make, and it's an important one. He's lifting his $22,000 reserve. He's selling it today. There's going to be a brand new. You're buying it today.
Oh my, here we are. It's almost time. 5 grand is the magic number. We got to get more than that. Well, we're going to find out real quick. I'm next. And my brakes have just gone out, so I hope we can stop. But they didn't completely go out, but they've gotten really soft, so I don't know what's going on with that. I may just need some brake fluid. So my main goal is not to run off the far end of the turnstile and wreck my car before we can auction it. So wish me luck.
It has a 3-speed transmission here.
I don't think I've ever even seen one. That's how rare this car is. Wow. And he'll give it that 20,000. He'll give it that 20, 20, 20, 20,000. Just start it for me, guys. He'll get 20,000. He'll get 20, 20, 20, he'll get 20,000. That 20,000. That's what they told me. It has air conditioning. And Dale Baker. Dale 5, now 6 and 7. And now 38.99. Reserve top.
Pretty low right now. Not looking good for the home team. So at this point, we've covered the cost of the car, we've covered the cost of the auctioneer, and we got $100 over that. So we're okay, but we're not really doing much yet. So 4,600. 4,600. Good job. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for coming, man.
4,600. I made $100 for my time and effort. Oh well, that was better than a kick in the face. Final tally: I paid $4 grand for the car, $500 to the auctioneer. I've got $1.72 in repairs on it. So I guess my my net on this thing is $98.28. So they're back there. They tell me they're giving me my check. I hope they make a mistake and put an extra 0 on the end. It'd make me feel better. A lot better. Tiffany, do you have me some money?
Probably not.
Probably not. You need this little thing? There you go. Tiffany's going for the check. I'm gonna have a really nice big steak at Cattleman's.
Alrighty. Your final bid was 46,
Okay.
and today there's no commission, so you're netting 46. So I need your signature right there.
Okie doke.
You're welcome.
So I came with a car, now I'm leaving empty-handed.
Oh, wait, you got a Texas buyer. I need to have you sign one more time.
A Texas buyer? Oh, I wouldn't have done it. If I had known that, I wouldn't have done it.
Watch it, Bubba.
Right there?
Yep.
We done?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate
Take
you.
care.
Bye, Tiffany.
I need the Oklahoma wind to run open through my veins. I need the Indian grass to cut right through these long and lonesome days homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. I hear the scissor tail calling me from the redbud trees. I hear the top water roar in the still of the day as the bass enjoy their feast homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. Whoa. Whoa, this is a place for all my
She lives. It's alive. Look where it blew out 2 dirt dauber nests out of the tailpipe.
Do what now? See
where it blew the 2 dirt dauber nests out of the tailpipe? Right here on the ground. Those just came out of the tailpipe. That's how long it's been sitting in the barn. Dirt dauber nests.
Are they extra?
Well, they were inside the tailpipe, and when I cranked it, it blew them out.
Oh, nice.
Is that cool or what?
So, is that going to include that? You can put it on the dash?
This thing is not only transportation, it's habitat.
I think it would have been like really kind of crazy if a whole bunch of them would have come flying out and a swarm would have been created and like pandemonium in the fairgrounds today. And you running.
Do you not want to
I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die!
That would be funny to you to see me do it?
I would totally love that. Yeah. I would totally dig that. It's nice.
This program is sponsored in part by the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board. The OERB is voluntarily funded by Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners, and their funds are being used for well site restoration and student education all across the state. Since 1993, the OERB has restored more than 13,000 orphaned and abandoned well sites at no cost to landowners or taxpayers, employing Oklahoma contractors all along the way. The OERB is proud to serve the state of Oklahoma.
Daddy, where did those come from?
Well, let me tell you.
Great Plains Kubota, your Oklahoma Kubota dealer and proud sponsor of the Land Doctors. Kubota, for Earth, for life. This program is sponsored and produced by the Land Doctors Management Group. We all know that Oklahomans belong to the land, but even the best of us need a little help from time to time. If you've got a spot of land that you love but would like to make it even better, we're here to help. Whether it's wildlife, water management, natural resources management, environmental cleanup, or even real estate development, these doctors are always on call.
I love the smell of fresh dirt in the morning. It smells like victory.